Hi guys, good evening and thanks for joining. So in the morning class, we discussed about completion of the flooding category of the attacks. So we discussed about TCP, sync flood, UDP, ICMP, ping of death, ping flood attack, DOS and DDoS. So additionally, we started other category of the attack. So that category is called as spoofing category of the attack. So here on behalf of the end user or impersonating of the end user or masking of the end user, attacker will send the request to the targeted machine so that attacker gain the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure. So that is called spoofing category of the attack. Under the spoofing category, we have once again couple of subtypes are there. So those types of the category of the attacks are, first one is IP spoofing. Already we discussed about morning this one. Next, we do have another three different types of spoofing category. So next one is email spoofing, and also third one is DNS spoofing or DNS amplification or DNS poisoning attack. So last one is ARP poisoning or ARP spoofing attack. So ARP spoofing attack is also called as ARP cache poisoning attack also. There are several names are there. So now we can go and we can discuss about what are pending attacks are there. That is email, DNS, and also ARP poisoning attack. Once this one is going to complete, later I will start any other miscellaneous or any other attacks are pending. So far, whatever we are completed. So that's all for today agenda. Let's start now. So email spoofing. So email spoofing here on behalf of the end user. So attacker will masking the original domain name and he will send the request to respective attacker or maybe any recipient. So final recipient cannot validate all the domain names or all whatever username it is existing, whoever is sending the email. Finally, so recipient will respond back to the attacker. In such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure. So finally, he will gain the confidential data exposure is called as email spoofing. So that is the reason whenever any email we are receiving, first and foremost, we have to provide cybersecurity awareness training to each and every employee, whether any phishing is happening or maybe through masked domain respect email address it is received. So that is the reason it's better to have at the time of the induction training. So or onboarding any employee, it's better to include even cybersecurity awareness training also, along with our finance related training, HR, and also company related training, IT oriented trainings. Even it's better to have so our cybersecurity awareness training as well, at least 30-minute session, so that we can provide awareness not only just on the induction training, even regularly, at least quarterly once. We have to conduct phishing email campaigns and also cybersecurity awareness training related to information security, governance, and risk and compliance point of view. So this is the way how we can educate to the each and every employee in the organization, so that we can reduce the attack vector and also attack complexity, and whatever hacking it's happening through phishing email, we can reduce it. So that is about email spoofing. Here, what exactly attacker will do? Attacker will create one of the dummy domain, and along with that one, he will mask his original identity of the attacker. And on behalf of the end user, attacker will send the email to targeted user or recipient. So finally, recipient will respond back to the end user or attacker. In such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access. So let's go and see in-depth analysis. Before class has been started, I was drawing this diagram. So now you can see normal process of the email, how it will go. So example, take x.y at the rate of infosys.com. So infosys.com is a domain name or fully qualified domain name. So x.y a username. So like a first name and last name. So he's a sender. Now he's sending one of the email to y.z at the rate of infosys.com, or maybe some other third person also from other side, outside of the organization as well. So now whenever sender is sending, so obviously recipient will receive the mail, and recipient, so maybe is any of the employee, that may be HR guy or legal guy or machine learning or data science or cloud computing or DevOps or tech ops and so on. So now, so respective person, whatever sender sent the email, he will respond back whatever mail he sent it. So that is the way how the normal process will work. So now without cyber security, so if are implementing this process, obviously we will not enable any sender policy framework, DMARC, DKIM, written path, and also subject line and source IP address validation related to the sender, and also domain address validation. All these things will not be validated if you don't implement all these email related technical features. So finally, so our SMTP server or email gateway, it will not validate all those parameters. And finally, so recipient, whatever mail it has sent, sender will receive. In such a way, unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure it will happen. So this is a normal process. So both the domains are legitimate domains. Infosys.com is a domain name. X.Y person is sending an email to Y.Z person. And so respective recipient will respond back to X.Y. So this is the way how the normal process will work using SMTP server. So now how the email spoofing will happen, what exactly attacker will do. So now he will not change his first name and last name. So he will keep same as it is, and he will create one of the dummy domains. So if you want to create any domain, if you want to purchase from GoDaddy or maybe GTS, Google Trust Services, or Symantec, or maybe Komodo, so or maybe VeriSign. So from all these vendors, with 400 rupees or 500 rupees, we can get the domain related to dummy, whatever if you want to enable. So now you can see how the attacker will mask his original identity. X.Y same username he will keep same as it is. It will not change. But domain name you can see test.infosys.com. So test.infosys.com is not existing. In the similar outlook.infosys.com or maybe welcome.infosys.com or maybe happy.infosys.com and so on. All these are dummy domains. Now attacker will send with his username, so to the respective targeted recipient or maybe any other email address, for example, sales@infosys.com or maybe contact us @infosys.com or info@infosys.com. In such a way, he will send an email. Now recipient, what he will see, is not a technical person. So he will see whether infosys.com is existing or not. Finally, whatever mail he has sent by the attacker, so finally he will respond back to that particular mail. So in such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access. So that is the reason we have to give the awareness training to all the employees. Whenever any email is coming to us, we should validate at least domain name as well. So this is what it's happened in 2013 when I was working in X company. So I already given this practical example also. So one of the attacker, so on behalf of the, so one of the CEO of my Robert Brown is the CEO of my organization. So on behalf of this particular CEO, he sent an email to one of the director. So he said like he need immediately 3 voucher copies with the worth of $1,500. So each customer he has to pay around $5,000. Sorry, $500. So 500 into 3 customers, 1,500 customer. So CEO wants to meet one of the, 3 customers. For 3 customers, he wants to give some of the gift card or voucher card with the worth of $500. Now that particular mail sent by the attacker basically on behalf of the Robert Brown as a CEO. Now that mail is received by one of my director. Director did not validate, and moreover that day he was on leave, the director basically, because his son is not feeling well. So then immediately director respond back to attacker stating that my son is not feeling well. So because I have to take my son to consulting the doctor. So now attacker responded back stating that immediately I have to pay money and I have to visit the respective business customers. I need as soon as possible with the worth of $1,500 of the gift card or voucher card. So now director said like, okay, so within 1 hour, I will go to the gift card voucher card shop and will purchase, I will send it back. Then attacker responded back stating that, okay, fine. So I'll wait for you within 1 hour. Now after 1 hour, once again, attacker sent to director stating that we need immediately so $1,500 coupons. So now, so the director, what he has done, he went to one of the shop and he purchased all those worth of $1,500. and those gift card or voucher card information sorry, is sent it to the attacker. Now attacker is used those 1,500 USD dollars. Later, director sent an email to finance team stating that, so I have paid 1,500 USD dollar. I need reimbursement. So now finance team is validated entire email conversation. So why CEO will ask money to director? In case really CEO wants money, directly he will approach to finance team. So finally, that particular email they forwarded to SOC team. So my cybersecurity SOC team is validated. Finally, they found that sender's policy framework is failed. DMARC is failed. DKIM is failed. Domain validation is wrong. IP address validation also wrong. Everything is a malicious content. In such a way, finally, attacker got 1,500 USD dollars. So this is what it's happened practically. Not only this one, I given that time one more example also. So anyways, so this is the way how the attacker will do email spoofing part, and he will send the spoofed email to respective targeted recipient, and once recipient will respond back, in such a way attacker will gain the unauthorized access or confidential data exposure or sensitive data exposure. So this particular process is called as email spoofing. Now, how we can mitigate this email spoofing? So we have to use SMTP server, and we have to enable couple of policy frameworks like sender policy framework authentication method, and also DKIM. So exchanging of the keys between the sender and recipient, so that encrypted channel it will form. And also we have to implement DMARC, domain message authentication receive code. It will identify the phishing email related cyber attacks. So, and finally, return path is always equivalent to sender email address. So additionally, even we have to implement email security solution or email gateway security solution in parallel to next generation firewall in DMZ or DMZ zone. So if we are implementing this one, obviously, so we can reduce our phishing email attacks. One more thing, what we have to do, obviously, we have to provide the phishing email campaigns. So monthly ones or quarterly ones at least. We have to test every employee by sending out the malicious email. So who is clicking on, whoever is not clicking on, whether they are downloading any of the malicious of the files. So in such a phishing email campaign, we have to conduct. And last but not least, even we have to provide cybersecurity awareness training to every employee in the organization, so that we can reduce all the spamming emails and also phishing emails. And finally, we can reduce our attack vector and attack complexity and also risk related to our organization point of view. So because most of the attacks nowadays, approximate 60% of the attacks are coming through phishing emails. Recent survey is saying that more than 90%. So, but 90% is not possible, at least. So 60 to 70% of the attacks are coming through phishing emails. So even though regularly every organization will conduct security awareness trainings, phishing email campaigns, and so on, but people will ignore. They will not change their passwords. So in the last day only, they will change their Outlook passwords or email passwords. In the similar way, continuously we have to go and speak whether they completed the survey or not, whether they passed the test or not. Okay, so that's all about overall introduction and how to mitigate any email spoofing category of the attack. What are the mitigations? So we have to define sender policy framework, DMARC, DKM, return path, all these in the SMTP server. In this similar way, we have to implement email security solution or email gateway solution in DMZ zone in parallel to next generation firewall. So additionally, we have to provide the phishing email campaign on monthly ones, and also even we have to conduct cyber security phishing email awareness training to all the employees, so that we can reduce the email spoofing category of the attacks. And one more thing is, nowadays, even next generation firewall has one of the capability anti-spam or anti-phishing filter option also. So nothing but whenever any email is coming, first that particular phishing email or email will enter into the email gateway. From email gateway, that particular traffic, it will forward to next generation firewall. Now, next generation firewall, it will validate that email contains any malicious URL link or malicious malware attachment. So it will validate all those parameters. And in case any malicious content is existing, that packet either it will be dropped or retransmitted, or that packet may be blocked. So even firewall will do this anti-spam capability as well. So this is the way how we can prevent email spoofing category of the attacks. So how we can define here, I provided both normal process as well as email spoofing, how the attack will do hacking. All these things I will create one of the Word document. Already I think Priyanka or someone is asked. So whatever diagrams we are discussing, please upload in the separate document. So I will upload these documents in the separate Word document. And whenever you are reading particular task or particular topic, please go and compare these theoretical and also diagrams point of view. Okay. So let's go here now. On behalf of end user, attacker will send phishing email or spoofed email to the targeted recipient, and the recipient will respond back to the attacker in such a way attacker will gain unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure, or this is also called as data exfiltration. So that is about email spoofing. So how to mitigate email spoofing? Remediations or mitigations. So first thing is implement email security solution or email gateway solutions. So example, couple of solutions are nowadays whatever Office 365, most of the organizations nowadays they are using either Outlook or Office 365 Microsoft. So Microsoft by default, they have one of the option name is called ATP. It's additional licensing, advanced threat prevention capability. So even additional licensing, one more licensing also there, that particular licensing, we can call it as Office 365 Defender capability. Not endpoint side, okay, so Defender related to EDR. This is on the email side. So Office 365 O365 Defender, email Defender, I will keep. Don't get confusion because endpoint side also we have one more Defender. So that is on the EDR Defender. So most of the people are getting confusion here and there. So Office Email Defender. So it has a capability of ATP capability, advanced threat prevention related to email. In this similar way, phishing email related or email security solution. So this is one of the very, very popular right now in the market. In this similar way, second solution, we do have Proofpoint. So Proofpoint is one of the leading tool right now in the market. It has two consoles basically. One is administration console. So second console name is called as investigation console. So in the administration console, we can create a policies like a spam policy, and also we can create email policy, and also we can create firewall policy. These are the three different types of policies we can configure under the Proofpoint. So here, email policy, spam policy, and also firewall policy. So whenever any phishing email domains are coming, either we have to whitelist or blacklist based on the malicious domain or malicious email address. So we can go and we can verify all those things in the MX tool or virustotal.com or hybridanalysis.com or maybe IBM Expose or Cisco Talos. There are so many tools are available. All these are open source tool. There we can check the reputation, and in case so the domain or IP address is showing as a malicious content or illegitimate content, obviously that particular domain or IP address we have to block in our Proofpoint or maybe Office 365, maybe Ironport or Mimecast and so on. So, and also here one more policy related to TAP, threat advanced protection. It is one of the additional licensing we have to purchase in the proof point. So third one is iron port. So iron port, previously iron port otherwise. So previously iron port is a separate company. Now Cisco is purchased iron port. Now iron port is a part of Cisco company. So even iron port is one of the very famous tool related to email security solution. So fourth one, we do have Mimecast. So Mimecast is also one of the tool. So this one also, it will prevent and block all phishing email category of the attacks. For phishing email campaign and also for awareness wise, know before. So it's one of the very famous tool. From this tool, we can take malicious URLs or malicious samples or malicious malware attachment, and we can send email to all the employees at a time. And now we can monitor who is clicking on the malicious URL link or who is downloading the malware attachments. So we have to test all these things from our side monthly once at least. And so whoever is clicking on, we should give warning also. So already we sent this one is a phishing email campaign. Why you are clicking on this one? So one time or three time or fourth time or fifth time, in such a we have to so give the warning, and fifth time finally we have to inform to their director stating that whenever any email is coming, so respective your team member is clicking without reading all the emails. So this is the way how we can make sure that we have to conduct the phishing email campaigns on monthly basis. One of the very famous tool, know before. There are so many tools are available in the market, but these tools are very famous. So first one is we have to implement email security solution. So here I will keep one more thing. So Office 365 EDR tool. So EDR tool is different, and also email defender is different. Both are different. Don't get confused. This is related to EDR, nothing but it will prevent and block all malware category of the attacks. And this one will take care of the respective so phishing emails only. So that is the main difference. Second solution, as I said, in the SMTP server, enabling of SPF, DMARC, DKM, and return path validation as well. So all these parameters we have to validate at the time of the phishing email investigation. So we can see practically once we are going to cybersecurity SOC operations. There I'll explain about so how we can take care of the investigation process. So third one, implement anti-spam or anti-phishing policy in the next generation firewall. So we have to implement anti-spam or anti-phishing policy we have to create. And so whatever IMAP, POP3, and also SMTP. So next one is NFS. So these are all the different types of message oriented protocols related messages are exchanging. It has to verify whether any legitimate content is flowing as inbound or outbound, or legitimate content is going away as inbound or outbound. It can verify, and finally it can block that particular activity, or maybe it will do quarantine as well, or maybe safeguard the respective phishing emails. So finally, security awareness training along with phishing email campaign. So what is this phishing email campaign and security awareness training? Security awareness training quarterly once we have to give to the each and every employee. And the phishing email campaign, as I said, wantedly we can send some of the phishing emails to every employee, and we can track who is doing what. So the traceability, and later we can go and we can educate the each and every employee. In such a way, we can provide the awareness and campaigns. So that is about overall email spoofing, how to mitigate. So whenever any phishing email or spoofing or spamming related emails it will occur are doing by the attacker part. So that's all about email spoofing. Next one is DNS spoofing. So DNS spoofing is also called as DNS amplification attack or DNS poisoning attack. Why we are saying here poisoning basically? So attacker will compromise DNS server. On behalf of DNS server, attacker will respond back whenever end user is giving the domain request. He will take to deface websites, nothing but fake websites, or maybe illegitimate websites, or maybe crafted URL or malicious websites. So in that scenario, obviously, whenever end user is clicking on those malicious websites, maybe trojans or malwares, maybe any virus or worm, it will be downloaded. Finally, our system will get compromised. In such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access. Now, on behalf of the DNS server, attacker will impersonate the DNS server and he will send the request. And finally, so end user system will get compromised. So that is called DNS spoofing. So let's go and discuss in diagrammatic way. So this once again, before class has been started, I was drawing this diagram. So DNS normal process first we can discuss, and later we can go to DNS poisoning attack or DNS spoofing attack. So what is the normal process? In the DNS server, we discussed about in simple words, how DNS will work. So DNS full form is the domain name resolution, sorry, domain name system or domain name server. It will convert or it will map domain name into IP address or vice versa. In simple words, we have explained already. So based on the DNS records, it will configure the DNS resolution and also it will map the DNS or fully qualified domain name. That's what we discussed part of the DNS server. But actually backend processes, this is what, how the DNS will work. Okay. So now example end user, you are end user, maybe I am end user. I want to access maybe hdfcnetbanking.com. Now as an end user, I will open the any web browser that may be Google Chrome or Safari or Firefox or maybe Microsoft Edge, and I can give the google.com. So or hdfcbank.com. So now whenever end user is giving hdfcbank.com in the web browser, so respective request will go to backend DNS server related to primary DNS or maybe secondary DNS server. And now DNS server, it will validate whatever end user is requested the domain name, it is existing in the temporary, so cache is called as a buffer. So it will validate whether that particular, so hdfcbank.com is existing in the temporary cache or cache is called as a buffer. In case if it is existing, automatically it will respond back to end user. So and end user is able to hdfcbank.com. So this is the way how the process will work. In case, so the domain is blocklisted and it is not authorized domain, now it will respond back to end user stating that whatever domain you are requesting, it's a malicious domain, it's a blocked as per or business objectives and business goals or business profiles. So that is what. Now, in case the domain is a new domain, it is not existing in the temporary cache or buffer. Now that particular request DNS server will forward to authoritative server. So one of the DNS record as well. So backend authoritative server. Now authoritative server, once again, it will check and it will validate whether the requested domain by the end user is whitelisting or blocklisting. In case if it is blocklisting, authoritative server will respond back to DNS server and also it will keep in the temporary cache and it will respond back to end user stating that whatever okay domain is requested, it is not able to accept as per the business objective or business properties or business policies. In case the domain is a new and malicious one, it will respond back to the DNS server and DNS server, it will make one of the copy in the temporary cache and also it will respond back to end user. And finally, end user is able to access the domain. So this is the way how the backend DNS process will work. I'm repeating once again, whenever end user is requesting any domain, so that request will go to DNS server. DNS server, it will validate whether it is a whitelisted domain or blacklisted domain, whether it is existing in the cache or not. In case it is a whitelisted one and it is existing in the cache, it will respond back to end user and end user is able to access the respected or requested domain. In case it is a blocklisted one, so DNS server will respond back to end user, and the end user is not able to access the domain because it's a malicious domain or blocklisted domain as per our business. So now, so in case DNS server does not existing any domain in the DNS cache, it's a new domain. That request will go to authoritative server. Authoritative server, once again, it will validate in the backend server whether it's whitelisted or blocklisted. In case if it is blocklisted, it will respond back to DNS server, and DNS server will keep one of the copy in the temporary cache, and it will respond back to end user. End user is not able to access because it's a malicious one. In case it's a whitelisted one, it will make one of the copy and it will respond back to DNS server. On DNS server, it will create one of the copy of the domain. Once again, it will put in the temporary cache. And finally, end user, that particular domain, it will forward by DNS server, and the end user is able to access. Now, in the second scenario, so similar type of domain, another end user is accessing. End user 2. Now, same domain, end user is also requesting related to HDFC Bank, for example. Now, end user is giving hdfcbank.com in the web browser. Now, DNS server, it will validate whether this particular hdfcbank.com is available in the buffer or cache, whether it's whitelisted or blocklisted. Obviously, already previously, this particular domain is already accessed by one of the end user. It will be available in the temporary cache or buffer. And finally, end user is able to access. This is the way how the normal backend process of DNS server, it will work. So this is what you have to explain whenever. So what is meant by DNS server, how DNS server will work. But most of the people I have seen, they will say like, so DNS full form is domain name system or domain name server. It will convert domain name into IP address or vice versa, IP address into domain name based on the DNS records. But better you can explain this process. Okay, now this is the normal process now. Now, how attacker will do hacking part related to DNS spoofing. So what attacker will do? Attacker will directly compromise DNS server as a targeted machine. Now, whenever any end user is giving the request, for example, same scenario you can consider hdfcbank.com. Now, whenever the end user is giving the hdfcbank.com in the web browser, that request is going to DNS server. Sorry. DNS server already got compromised by the attacker. Now, on behalf of DNS server or impersonating of the DNS server, so attacker will respond back to end user related to deface websites or malicious domains or fake domains. Now, whenever end user is accessing the malicious domains or fake domains, or maybe so defaced domains, so obviously that malicious content will be downloaded, or maybe directly URL manipulation it will happen, and end user system will get compromised. In such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure related to command and control. So this is what DNS spoofing or DNS amplification or DNS poisoning attack. How we can define this one now? Attacker will compromise target remains DNS server, and whenever end user is accessing any domain on behalf of DNS server, attacker will respond back to the end user, and he will take to deface websites or maybe malicious websites or malicious URLs in such a way. Whenever end user clicking on all those URL manipulations or deface or malicious websites, so command and control will go to the attacker, and in such a way, attacker will gain the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure. So this particular attack is called as DNS spoofing or DNS amplification or DNS poisoning attack. So then how we can mitigate this one now? So for this one, we discussed already DDI concept. I'm not sure how many people remember. So when we discussed about DNS, DHCP, IP address management. So whatever drawbacks are there in the static IP related to IP conflict, manual assigning of the IP address, and also inventory maintenance. And so maintaining the database also, it's very complicated and complex. To eliminate that one, so DHCP came into picture. So there we discussed about DHCP. and also IP address management, that is called IPAM, and also we discussed about DNS server. So I given DDI solution. So DDI full form is DNS, DHCP, IP address management. Very, very popular vendors or tools. Right now, it is available in the market is Microsoft, obviously. Second one is Infoblox. So third one is IBM. Fourth one is HP and so on. So these are all the DDI solution related. So when I explain about that one itself, whatever DDI solution we are purchasing, we have DNS security option is available. So I will show that one also. For example, so this is what I explained last time when we discussed about DNS, DHCP address management. It's one of the info block solution. So not only just info blocks, this is applicable to Microsoft, IBM, HP, other companies and vendors as well. So whatever DNS configuration we are doing, DNS records we are configuring, additionally, by default, this particular hardware or software or virtual device has a DNS security inbuilt configuration. Whenever attacker is trying to compromise DNS, so we have to install one of the DNS security agent. So DNS security agent we have to install on top of the DNS server. And whenever any attacker is trying to compromise either primary DNS or secondary DNS, this DNS agent will communicate to our DDA solution. And based on the signature based or based on the machine learning capability or artificial intelligence capability or behavioral pattern capability, either it will allow or block or quarantine, or maybe it will completely blocklist that particular domain. So, or at least it will give alert notification. So this is the way how we can implement DNS security by installing the DNS security agent on top of the DNS server. So that is one thing we have to implement. So that is the first remediation. Second remediation, what we have to do. So in the DNS server itself, first and foremost, we have to identify what are the business domains with whom we are doing business, and also what are the non-business domains. We have to segregate that one, and we have to whitelist whatever and with whomever we are doing business. Only those domains only we have to whitelist. Remaining all other we have to blocklist. Maybe one of the domain, some of the people are sending email, some of the people are trying to access. Unfortunately, our DNS server is blocklisted that particular domain. In that scenario, obviously, end user they have to raise a firewall request stating that please open the domain name in the firewall or maybe DNS server. Then we can go, our firewall team or maybe network admin, they can validate whatever request domain is legitimate or illegitimate, and according to that one, he can whitelist that particular domain. So that is the second one. So even in the firewall also, we have one of the option name is called DNS filtering. So I already have shown that one under the policies and objects tab. So nowadays, what our next generation firewall we are purchasing, so that firewall has a capability filtering of the domains, nothing but whitelisting of the domains and blocklisting of the domains, which domains we have to allow and which domains we have to block. So that is completely depending on our business requirement, with whom we are doing business, that business domains we have to gather and we have to whitelist and blocklist. So even we have another option EDR also, app control and web control. So which domains we have to allow, which application we have to allow, which websites or which websites we have to allow and which websites we have to block. So this is the way each and every layer wise we have to implement domain filtering or domain whitelisting or domain blocklisting. In such a we can reduce our domain name resolution or DNS amplification attack or DNS spoofing category of the attack. I'm repeating once again, what are the remediations we have to take care? So we have to implement DNS security agent using DDI solution. Second one is we have to implement DNS filtering option in the DNS server. Third one, we have to implement DNS filtering option in the next generation firewall. So if we are implementing this one, obviously we can eliminate DNS spoofing or DNS amplification or DNS poisoning attack. So that's all about what is meant by DNS spoofing or poisoning attack. So now here I will provide a normal process, DNS normal process. And also give me some time. This one I will do offline because otherwise time will become waste here. So DNS spoofing attack. So after this call, I will complete this DNS normal process and also DNS spoofing. So how we can explain? And here I will provide remediation now. So as I said, first thing is, so DNS security solution using DNS agent. How to implement using DDI solution. So second one, so DNS filtering should be created a policy in DNS server. So nothing but whitelisting and also blacklisting of the domains based on business requirement. So that is the second one we have to do under the DNS. So this one will be done by network admin guy or network engineers. So even if you want to get the business IPs information, business domains information, as I said, please contact network engineers or network admins. They will provide which one is business IPs and which one is business domains. So third one, please create a DNS filtering option in next generation firewall. Even create a policy using web control and app control in EDR or XDR tools. So if are implementing these things, obviously we can so keep our DNS server safe and secure. Okay, as I said, so DNS normal process, I will complete it here after this call in the similar DNS attack. Okay, so that's all about overall DNS. So spoofing attack or DNS amplification or DNS poisoning attack. So last attack in our spoofing category, ERP spoofing or ERP poisoning or ERP cache poisoning. So out of these four, IP spoofing, email spoofing, DNS, and ERP. So most of the cases we can expect either DNS or ERP in case if they will ask about spoofing category. Okay. So now same thing before our class has been started, I was drawing this diagram related to ARP. So ARP just we discussed about what is meant by ARP in simple words. So what we discussed, ARP is nothing but address resolution protocol. It will convert layer 3 logical IP address to so layer 2 nothing but data link layer MAC address, or maybe it can map. So that's what we discuss in simple words. But backend process, how ARP will work. Now I'll explain about backend process. So how ARP protocol, it will map or it will create ARP table. So what the backend process we can discuss later, we can discuss about attack. So here one of the LAN local area network and here one of the end user, and every system has one of the numerical label or number assigned to system that is called IP address. In the similar way, one of the physical address assigned to each and every Ethernet interface that is called MAC address. So this particular end user IP address is obviously it's a private IP address range 10.10.10.1, and one of the MAC address it's a 48 bit. It's a 6 strings or arrays. It contains 00 A B C D E F 0011. So this example simply I taken this one. In the similar switch, so switch also has a IP address and also MAC address. In the similar way router, so IP address and also MAC address. In the similar way DNS server, so IP address and MAC address, and printer. So once again it has IP address and MAC address. So now whenever any ARP protocol, so for example, maybe, so end user, how it will require, it's a completely back-end process. We can't see from front end how the ARP table it will form, creation of the ARP table, and so deleting of the ARP table or emptying of the ARP table and so on. Okay, it's a completely back-end process. Now maybe end user wants to take one of the printout. Now, so ARP request it will send like a broadcast to switch. So now end user will send, I want to know about so MAC address of the printer so that I can take the printout. So now here 10.10.10.1, it's one of the IP address. So that IP address ARP request will broadcast to switch. Now switch will forward that request to whatever other devices are connected in the local area network. So switch is a broadcasting of the device, right? So now that request will go to here, printer. In the similar way, that request will go to router. So in the similar way, that request will go to so DNS server as well. So now, so switch it will form. So one of the ARP table from their side. In the similar end user side also ARP table it will form. So whenever end user is taking the printout, this 10.10.10.1 broadcast request will go to switch and switch will broadcast to everyone. That request will go to printer also. Now whatever printer MAC address it is there, part of the data link. So it will map with this particular so IP address or logical address. Now 10.10.10.1 is mapping to MAC address of the data link layer of the printer is 00ABCDF0010. So this is the way how the ARP table it will form on the end user side. Now end user, whenever any printout is giving, so that request will go to switch and switch will forward to printer and the printer will respond back to switch and switch will respond back to end user. In such a way, end user will take the printout. Now ARP table, once printout it will be completed, it will clear that ARP table as well. So dynamic in nature. Otherwise, we can go and we can give ARP-D. D is for delete, sorry, display. So yeah, D is for delete and A is for adding. S is for so viewing and also S is for display as well. So this is the way how the normal ARP process will work, or ARP table it will create. Now what attacker will do? So now we are discussing about ARP poisoning attack. Now attacker will come into picture. So what attacker will do? Attacker will compromise the switch or wherever the first broadcast request it is going. Now on behalf of the switch or impersonating the switch or masking of the switch. So whenever end user is giving the request, so attacker will respond back to the respective end user, whatever he is giving request related to ARP. Now, in the end user side ARP table, it will form like a misconfiguration or misleading or wrong data. Finally, so attacker will gain the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure. So why? Because attacker will take to some other so ARP table or some other ARP manipulations or ARP deletions or adding or updating part. So this is the way how the attacker will do poisoning of the so targeted mission or impersonating of the mission or whatever data it is storing in the cache also it can erase data and attacker will send on behalf of the so switch in this scenario. So this is the way how the ARP poisoning it will work. I will repeat once again. Attacker will compromise the targeted machine as a switch or any router. And so whenever end user is requesting ARP request, so that request will go to the attacker on behalf of the switch or router. Attacker will respond back to the end user as a wrong information. In such a way, attacker will gain unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure. This particular process of the attack is called as so ARP poisoning attack or ARP spoofing attack or ARP cache poisoning attack. Now, if we want to mitigate this one, what we have to do? So obviously we have to implement deep packet inspection. So as I said, so in the morning class when we discussed about so IP spoofing category of the attack. So deep packet inspection we have to implement in the next generation firewall side. In the similar way, we have to implement ARP flooding or ARP spoofing related policy in the firewall once again. And also we have to implement so network IDS, network IPS side also ARP related policy. If are implementing these remediations or mitigation steps, we can prevent and block our ARP poisoning attack. Okay, so that is about mitigation part. I'm repeating mitigations once again. So we have to create a policy in the firewall side related to ARP. So that is the first thing. So second thing, we have to create a policy once again under the network IDS, network IPS. So third one, we have to implement stateful inspection and deep packet inspection whenever attacker is trying to compromise targeted ARP related request to the switch or router. It has to identify and that packet has to drop or packet has to so retransmitted or packet has to block. So in such a way, we can take care of the ARP mitigation steps. Okay. So now how we can define this one, same thing. First, I will write about ARP normal process, how ARP protocol backend it will work. Okay. But in simple words, as I said, so ARP full form is address resolution protocol. It will convert or map layer 3, nothing but network layer, IP address or logical address to layer 2 data link layer, MAC address or physical address. That is called ARP. So next one is ARP poisoning attack. Next one is mitigations. I will write here. So first mitigation, as I said, implement ARP policy in the next generation firewall, and also by default enable ATP and deep packet inspection capability in UTM. UTM is nothing but firewall only, unified threat management, and also next generation firewall. So third one, create a ARP poisoning attack policy in the network IDS and network IPS. So if we are implementing this one, obviously we can reduce ARP poisoning attack. So these are all the 4 different types of attacks will fall under the spoofing category. First one is IP spoofing, the second one is email, third one is DNS, fourth one ARP. Out of these 4, so DNS is little bit important as compared to other 3. Okay, so that's all about overall spoofing category. So let's start new category of the attack. Other attacks I'll keep are miscellaneous, something you missed out. Other attacks. So here, couple of important attacks, part of MITRE attack framework we can discuss, and also couple of generic attacks. So first one is social engineering attack. So before going to social engineering attack, first of all, what is meant by social? So social event, what is meant social event here? Publicly gathering the people and conducting an event is called social event. So social is nothing but publicly gathering is called a social. So now social engineering attack. So what is my social engineering attack in public places? So whenever any person is disclosing any confidential data or sensitive data or data exfiltration is called as social engineering attacks. So this is not only in the public places, even in our organization point of view also. Couple of times we have this shared account or service account. So everyone will use same username and password. For example, of scheduling the task or scheduling of the patch updates. There we can use, okay, so service account maybe. So for those scenarios, so we'll forget the couple of times passwords, commonly used passwords. Obviously, we can ask our colleague or our neighbor stating that what is the password. In public places, we can disclose all these confidential data related to credential data, related to username, related to password, related to PII data, related to GDPR compliances. So take example, maybe you are calling, you are making a call and you are speaking with your mother or father or maybe your relatives, and your debit card is there with your father, and you are saying about, please explain about debit card number. And whenever, so your father is explaining about debit card number, you will repeat once again with louder manner. Opposite person, obviously they will listen your PA data related to confidential. So this is applicable to even PHA also, personal health information. So we should not disclose our personal health information related data in the public. So leaking of the any confidential data in the public places, so is called as social engineering attack. So obviously, how we can mitigate this one now? So there is no specifically, so any tool we can we implement to take care of the social engineering attack. It's a common sense basically. It's a behavioral sense. So we should not disclose our confidential data in the public places. So and also we have to provide the security awareness. So this is the way how we can educate. So each and every person should not disclose any confidential or any PIA data or PHA data in the public places or commonly so living places. Okay, so that is about social engineering attack. So leaking of confidential data in public places or in public is called as social engineering attack. For example, so credential disclosing, nothing but username and password leaking, PIA data leaking or breach. So already you know what is PIA data here, personal identifiable information. So your debit card number, credit card number, your passwords, your PIN number, your CVV number, when the card is going to expire, your first name, last name, your email address, your password, your date of birth, your mobile number, your Aadhaar card, passport, everything will fall under the PIA data. It's a part of basically GDPR compliance. So next one, PHA data also. So these are all the data we should not disclose to the public. Then how we can mitigate this one? Mitigation, I will not use, okay, so wrong words. I will use like a security awareness training instead of the common sense. So there is no other option. We have to educate the each and every person or every employee in the organization. We should not disclose any confidential data in the public places. So that is about social engineering attack. Next one is shoulder surfing. So what is the shoulder surfing? So even social engineering, shoulder surfing, eavesdropping, all these three attacks almost like a subset. So it is like a hand in hand. So all these three attacks, eavesdropping, shoulder surfing, and social engineering attack. So what is shoulder surfing? Looking into some other people's shoulder, or maybe whoever is speaking in the phone, or maybe in the any audio call or video call. So listening their conversation and getting the confidential data. So that particular attack is called as shoulder surfing. So here shoulder means not opposite person's shoulder, basically whatever they're conversing. So we are listening and getting that particular data as a confidential data exposure is called as shoulder surfing. Looking into some other people's shoulder and gaining the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure is called as shoulder surfing. So mitigation same as it is. So we have to provide the awareness training. So next one, eavesdropping. So this also almost equals to same thing like social engineering and shoulder surfing. So secretly listening other people conversation and gaining the unauthorized access. So that is called eavesdropping. I will give one practical example. When I was working in Manyata Tech Park, Bangalore Philips company, so I used to travel from Marathali to Manyata Tech Park daily. So we have Manyata is providing buses to each and every employee. So whoever is working in Manyata. So whenever I used to enter in the Marathali, so one of the my colleague itself, but he's in another department. He's a part of the product development. So he used to enter into the respective bus, and till the bus is going to the Manita Tech Park, till that time he used to converse, and all the production service related IP address, even passwords, so respective host name, everything he used to disclose in the bus. See, it's not only just like a murmuring and leaking out the confidential data. It's not like that. He used to speak with very louder, is disclosing all the confidential data related to IP address and server names and production related servers, development related servers information, even username and passwords, everything is explaining in the bus itself. So obviously, if you know about those IP address and also respective, prod related server name or development related server name and everything. So I said several times to that particular person, please disclose your confidential data. But whenever a couple of people they are speaking in phone, they will forget about what's going on beside them and they will speak louder way. So, but they don't know they are leaking of the data related to confidential. Okay. So don't do that and don't disclose all this confidential data whenever you are conversing in the phone. Because unknowingly sometimes we'll disclose because we are in phone and we are not sure what we are discussing, whether the opposite person is listening or not. Okay. So same thing here. So looking into some other, okay, so secret listening other people conversation and getting the unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure is called as eavesdropping. Secretly listening other people conversation and gaining unauthorized access or sensitive data exposure or data leak is called as eavesdropping. So now, what is the mitigation? Same thing. We have to provide the awareness training. And one more thing, most of the employees also, whatever passwords they are using for the multiple applications or multiple databases or multiple servers, so or even including endpoints, so they will store that particular password either in the notepad or maybe Excel sheet or Word document or maybe in their notepad. It's a notebook basically. We should not do that one. Even at the desk also they will write so their passwords. So those things we should not do. That is one type of the password violation policy. Okay. So as per information security password violation policy, this one, we should not keep our passwords. So in the public places like our Excel sheet or notepad or maybe so notebooks or maybe in front of our desk. So here what will happen? So any people they can go and they can so see the passwords, they can log into the system and on behalf of you, maybe so our internal colleagues itself they'll make like enemies and they can do whatever they want. That is called insider threat. So the hacking or attacks are happening from the internal organization. It is called as insider threat or internal attack. Okay. Maybe one of the person, so he knows about your desktop password and so you went for coffee break or lunch break. So he opened your desktop. He sent a resignation email to your HR team. What will you do in that scenario? In case CCTV cameras are not existing. So this is one of the, it's a simple example. Okay. So that is about social engineering, shoulder surfing, eavesdropping. So we can discuss tomorrow morning remaining other attacks. We have couple of pending attacks like data exfiltration, golden ticket, silver ticket, and privilege escalation, persistence. So command and control. So there are some other attacks are there. So we can discuss tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m. IST. So that's all for today evening, guys. Do you have any questions?
RK, man in the middle falls under which type of attack?
Man in the middle attack will fall under the authentication failure category or else WASP top 10 category.
Uh, it is also like a spoofing kind, right?
No, so basically what will take for already existing connection attacker will take. So here spoofing is not existing connection. On behalf of the end user, he will send. So man in the middle attack, for example, take you are already logged into Amazon retail website and you want to order some of the kitchen items for your kitchen. In that scenario, what I will do as a man in the middle person using session hijacking capability. So whatever token you are using related to JW token or session you are already connection is established to backend Amazon web server or database server. I will take the token ID or maybe existing session. I will use URL manipulation or maybe URL crafting messages. I will redirect your session to my particular backend server. Now, whenever you are doing payment, instead of going to the Amazon retail web server, it will go to my payment server and finally I will get the money. So that is called man in the middle attack. So, or maybe session hijacking part. So these things will fall under the WASP top 10 or I can say authentication failure.
So, session fixation, session hijacking, everything will fall under
WASP top
category.
10 only. All application category, most of the cases. Yes, you are right. Yeah. Any other? Okay, tomorrow morning I'm going to complete all these attacks except WASP top 10. Tomorrow evening I will start your wish, whatever you like, whether you want endpoint security or network security, or cyber security. You can choose one of the technology and I can explain that particular technology, whatever you like. Shall we go with endpoint or shall we go with cyber
Sir,
or
I have a
infrastructure vulnerability management?
Better.
Sorry.
We'll go with the end
question.
point.
Okay, perfect. We'll go with endpoint because we have to clear a lot of things basically. So detection methods and policies as well. Yeah, we'll go with endpoint security. Okay,
Sir,
guys,
I have
that's
a
all.
question.
Sorry.
Hello.
Okay, then that's all for today evening. And tomorrow morning I will
Hello,
take and
sir. I have a question.
yeah, please. Your voice
The
is
Tor,
chopping.
yeah, this all the time happens. The Tor browser can access the blocked websites even though it is blacklisted. That means it is independent of DNS system or something else.
So that is the reason when what we have to do, we have to implement proxy server. So proxy server nowadays using agent based solution we have to implement. So that agent, for example, take maybe OpenDNS from Cisco or maybe Barracuda or WebSense. So even though it's a Tor based block.
అవుతుంది ఇంక్రిమెంట్ లేదు హైక్ లేదు అంతే పడున్నాం లేదు 3 సంవత్సరాలు అయింది 10 పైసలు మళ్ళీ హైక్ లేదు ఇప్పుడు ఇంకో కొత్త కోర్స్ నేర్చుకొని మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు దీని మీదకి జంప్ అయ్యి ఏం చేయాలి మరి నువ్వు అప్డేట్ అవ్వకపోతే అంతే ఉంది పరిస్థితి.
Hello.
Maybe he got disconnected.
Yeah, someone is speaking actually, a lot of disturbance. Yeah, what I was saying here. So we have to install the proxy agent to the each and every end user machine. Even though Tor based block websites is not blocking by DNS filtering, we have proxy option is available. So in the proxy, whatever domain end user is requesting, it will always validate that particular website, whether it is legitimate or illegitimate. So this agent will communicate it to the proxy server or secure web gateway. So in the secure gateway web gateway, once again, it will detect based on the signature based, whatever signatures or domains it is existing in their database, and also regular threat intelligence feeds, whatever it is happening. So they will integrate all those threat intelligence feeds related to malicious domains. So it is like a real-time behavioral pattern, and also based on the past, is there any blocked or tor website, it is appearing in the proxy side. So here, as I said, multiple places we have to implement all these filtering options. Obviously, even though if it is a tor based blocked website, so in case firewall is not able to block, or maybe proxy is not able to block, or EDR is not able to block, at least our DNS is able to block. So this is the way how we can implement defense in depth layer controls. Any other?
And what about VPN related to this?
VPN
How
is different concept. That one we can discuss part of our next generation firewall. So multiple geographical location or impossible traverse attack. So those things we can discuss once I will explain about what is meant by remote VPN or IPsec VPN, and also site-to-site VPN. There I will explain about how VPN will work, and so what is VPN portal, VPN client, VPN gateway. So there I'll explain about impossible traversal attack and couple of other scenarios as well. Any other? Okay, guys, then thank you so much, and see you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. IST. And so give me, okay, so 1 hour, I will upload all the today evening, morning video already uploaded. So evening video, and also I have two pending tasks. One is ARP poisoning attack definition I have to provide, and also DNS poisoning attack. Okay, guys, thank you so much and good night.
Good night.